Hello and welcome to Brain Trust Live number 516.
This week on the podcast, it's Election Day, and New York City has predictably stolen the show with the most important election in the nation.
And Nancy Pelosi makes the shocking decision to not die in office.
Plus, we've entered the let them eat cake era of the Trump shutdown.
And is baseball becoming a democratic sport?
We'll have all this and more.
This is Brain Trust Live. Hey y'all, I'm Brent.
I'm Lila, and you can find us on the web at www.braintrustlive.com.
Woo-wee.
We're making an interesting choice coming to you on today of all days, because we do know that it is Election Day when this will post, and that is normally a day you would want to wait to see the results of. But too bad for you, we didn't have time to schedule it later in the week.
We have lives.
We have lives, and so we're going to talk you through some of the races that we expect to be interesting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Give you some thoughts on why, what might happen and what that might mean.
Sure.
And then we're going to talk about, there's a lot going on, you guys. So it's like, this can't all be all elections all the time, especially on an off-cycle year where everything feels so chaotic. So there's still news. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to talk about news.
Yeah,
we told you that we weren't going to get hyper involved in elections. And so we're sticking to that.
We're sticking to that.
Maybe.
Will the first 30 minutes of this podcast be about those elections? Sure. We're not going to deny you what you came for. But
no.
The obviously most important race of the cycle, to me personally, and I would argue to America at large,
I think you're
is
right.
the New York City mayor's race.
Yeah.
And I love saying that. I love any time that New York City is the most important thing to anyone, anywhere in the world.
You always think that it is.
That's right.
So when you're joined by others.
All of America. The number of tweets I've seen of people saying that their mental health rides on the mayor's race in a city they don't live in is astronomical, and I couldn't be prouder of us. As a city, as a people, I think we're doing great work being the most relevant people on earth.
Sure.
And so we still are looking at polling where Mamdani is in the lead in every single poll that has been posted for this entire race, basically.
Yeah.
Cuomo seems to have made up a little bit of ground in polling in the last few days. I know because of how shocking every single Donald Trump win has been, everyone gets really nervous now around elections to be like, oh, he's going to win in a landslide. Like everyone in New York is like, well, if Mamdani wins. But I've also only heard people be like, if Cuomo wins, no one knows what's going to happen. And it's because no one's thought about it, because it hasn't really been much of a reality.
Least of all him.
The least of all him.
I mean, what campaign is that guy running? Because granted, I don't live there, but like I do follow this fairly closely, and I'm just like, I don't understand what he's offering.
Nothing.
Other than being not Mamdani, which I guess is a choice that you can, try
It's the choice a moderate Democrat would make in a race like this.
That's very true.
There's people, and then there's not people in the Democratic Party, and the not people get really mad when the people start trying to run for things. Yeah. They do everything they can to upset people from doing stuff.
There's actually an interesting piece in The Nation fairly recently that David Sirota wrote about the importance of the public financing system in this election.
Yes.
And I would recommend people go and read that, because that sort of is like an underreported sort of like story here. And it did not, it didn't make him able to compete money-wise with Cuomo, but it at least gave him enough money to be able to like run a competent campaign. Yeah. But it also sort of like, he really probably wouldn't have been able to keep up if that system wasn't in place.
This goes to show you what's possible when you do public campaign financing, and New York City has shown this at the city council level as well. When you offer public financing, candidates who people actually like start to compete for things.
That's what sort of like part of what that article was just like, this is a solution actually to get good candidates, because it allows people from the outside and people who like maybe wouldn't be able to raise a bunch of PAC money or millions and millions and millions of dollars to be able to sort of like at least run some semblance of a campaign.
Also, people who like are of the place they're running in, because that's the thing is like Mamdani is like a candidate who is a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Cuomo's not a New Yorker. He's a guy who is like an institution in state politics because he comes from a dynastic, family, and he was the governor. But he is not somebody who is like engaged in the needs of New Yorkers. He did not run because he cares about solving problems for New Yorkers.
Right.
And that is why his campaign hasn't resonated, because when you go and cast a vote for Mamdani, you can be like, okay, well, maybe I don't agree with him on everything, but I sure would like free buses, or I sure would like a rent freeze, or, there are actual policies that you can like articulate. My mother has been leafleting for Mamdani every day outside of our local polling place, and she keeps asking Cuomo voters, because they come up to her and they get really, huffy with her.
Sure.
She keeps asking, other Mamdani leafleters are doing this too, asking Cuomo voters why they're voting for him.
Oh, sure.
No one has any idea. No one has an answer.
Or they know and they're embarrassed to say.
That's certainly part of it.
There are some notable embarrassing reasons to actively want to vote for him. And they were maybe ones that you wouldn't share.
Wouldn't want to share in the streets. Yeah. But it's been really interesting because she was like, you do see the Mamdani people come in and they're like excited. Yeah. And they have reasons that they're excited, and they can articulate those reasons, even if they can't articulate every reason.
Yeah.
And the Cuomo people, it's like no one's ever thought. No, they're like no one was going to ask them that, so they didn't think of an answer. But things have gotten even weirder in the last few days, because there was already the weirdness of Adams dropping out and endorsing Cuomo, and a guy who hates Andrew Cuomo more than anyone. And I would argue that this is the perfect reason that Curtis Sliwa has been getting so much like reputation laundering from this race, because Curtis Sliwa, a man of insane ideas, always has been, always will be. At least
racist.
I mean, nuts
for sure. Yeah.
Too much of a cat lover. At least had the wherewithal to be like, if there is one thing I know in my bones as a New Yorker, because he is like a very specific kind of eccentric New Yorker.
Yeah, and when you hear him talk for like 1 millisecond, you're like, oh, all
that
right.
Guy is from New York. He cares about New York. Like, you can at least say that Curtis Sliwa cares about New York.
Yeah.
Are his ideas insane? Absolutely. Don't listen to him. But like, he's like a guy that we all know lives in New York, and we're all like, that's the crazy uncle that ever, whatever. Yeah. He knows in his bones that he hates Andrew Cuomo too much to hand this race to that man.
Yeah.
Even though his ideology as a Republican might be closer to Cuomo's than Mamdani's, he knows that New York City should be run by a New Yorker. And that is clear from the way he's conducting his campaign. And Adams is such a weak nonsense person.
I know.
Because he also hates Andrew Cuomo. He said it many times. He fucking hates that guy. And yet did not have the balls to just be like, no.
I know.
I'm not going to endorse him.
And
just endorse nobody. What is your problem?
I know. It's so crazy. And I love that their plan is that as the two independents to say that Mamdani is not the real Democrat after he won the Democratic primary in a landslide. It's just so ridiculous.
And now things have gotten crazier because Trump just endorsed Cuomo.
I know.
And who's the constituency for that?
I don't know.
Like, can you imagine you're like a voter in New York City and you are like, I was going to vote for Curtis Sliwa or Mamdani or whoever, but finally Donald Trump has weighed in. A man I deeply trust. So I got to get in there and make sure Andrew Cuomo, who I, as a Trump truster, have hated for my whole life.
Right, I know.
Is going to win. Like, I don't...
It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. And
is he playing Cuomo? Like, does Trump know that he's playing Cuomo right now?
I don't know if he... I don't think he does, because he's delusional, and I think he thinks that people will just do what he says, because he's used to that, I suppose.
That's true. And
right, George Santos also weighed in.
Yeah, like... I feel like they're punking Cuomo. I don't know how this could seem helpful. I don't know how Cuomo can sit around accepting this.
Right.
And still think he should be the mayor of New York City?
Well, and now all of these Republicans are being like, oh, well, a vote for Sliwa is a vote for Mamdani. So they're trying to...
the Democrats.
I know. They're Jill Steining him.
They're Jill Steining Curtis Sliwa, the man who won the Republican primary.
Right. But to your point about him, though, like, there's no world where if you're a person considering voting for Curtis Sliwa, then there's literally no part of the metaverse.
No.
Where you're like, oh, well, I guess I should just probably vote for Andrew Cuomo. That's not what you're doing. That's not what your brain is doing as a Curtis Sliwa voter.
Curtis Sliwa is running on an anti-Cuomo platform. He's nothing else going on.
That's right.
The main point he's managed to make to the masses is that he hates Andrew Cuomo, and we do too.
Right.
That's the thing. Everyone hates that guy.
Yeah.
If you don't hate that guy, you're hated.
Right.
That's, if you what's the saying about
the enemy is,
or if you can't see the prey, you're the prey, or I don't know. There's a metaphor in there. I'm sure you guys know it. Okay, let's move on. There are some other elections tomorrow. You might remember that Virginia is famously an off-cycle election state and a bellwether state, and they have a big gubernatorial race going on. And it looks like the Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, or current Congresswoman, is likely to win that race. She is a fairly conservative Democrat and has been. There's no mystery there. She is a person who is claiming that Mamdani's not a real Democrat, and I don't know how she would know. But, what are you going to do? Yeah. But it would be great to have a Democratic governor in Virginia just to piss off Trump in a metaphorical way.
But God, imagine
having
to vote for Abigail Spanberger in an election, in a statewide election. What a sad time for everybody there.
I will say that I feel like she often, on sort of big ticket item stuff, she's often in the wrong. She is somebody that I think in Congress, because I knew some people that worked for her, did really deliver on like some constituent issue stuff and did really deliver on some local stuff. So I'm hoping that is what she can do as governor here.
Yeah, sure.
She may have all the wrong top line positions.
Probably.
She'll certainly be willing to, compromise in ways that I don't think that someone should have to in the Trump era.
Right.
But hopefully that's at least a good thing. I don't know. I mean, it also depends on what the legislature there does. But that's been a race that people have had their eye on for obvious reasons. And then also the New Jersey gubernatorial race happens in the off cycle. And that one is real close.
Yeah. Mickey Sherrill is the Democrat there. Sort of dead heat in some of the final polls.
Yeah. So that's a pretty significant one.
Yeah. And they had remember they had an election for governor that was literally off of everyone's radar. I think it was the last time that, was it Phil Murphy? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Maybe. That ended up being close and everybody was hold up, what happened?
Yeah, it makes you wonder if anyone knows how to poll New Jersey.
Right, because it's then I got to thinking, I'm like, well, it shouldn't have been that weird for that to have been close anyway, because they've had Chris Christie famously.
Christie is a New Jersey
governor.
I feel like in this iteration of the Republican Party, it's less surprising to me that New Jersey would get close than it was in past iterations. I don't think of New Jersey as a particularly conservative state on the policy front, but on the lunatic wannabe authoritarian front, very conservative. Sure. So I feel like there's something about this sort of Trumpian style of the Republican Party that is more appealing in New Jersey than the sort of more staid, sort of Christian right version of it. And I think that's kind of what we're suffering from here.
Got it.
In California, we have mercifully short ballot.
I know. We're voting on a prop on a ballot that didn't involve us having to write a voter guide.
Literally, it's one prop.
One prop.
Is it a prop we all feel kind of shitty about? Sure.
Yeah.
But are we all voting for it? Yes.
Yeah.
We're doing it. It's Prop 50. I don't know how we got to the number 50 when there's only one thing on the ballot, but it's always a mystery how these props are numbered. This is the prop where we're going to redistrict in a way to offset the Texas redistricting that is going to net the Republicans' seats. Yeah. And other states are considering this kind of thing as well. And here's what I will say about Prop 50. We were talking about this just before we started recording.
Yeah.
If anything, because everyone feels very kind of medium about this prop. Because it's is it what I want to have to vote for? No. I actually really like impartial redistricting. I want redistricting to be done fairly. Or districting in general, not just the but the original districting to be done fairly. I don't like the idea of watering down Democratic districts so that we can get mediocre Democrats that we already have plenty of into Congress.
Same.
However, this is really a testament to the power of having literally any ideas at all.
Right.
Of just trying something. Gavin Newsom is trying a thing, and people are desperate to try literally anything and respond to any idea.
Right. This is literally Democrats turning out in droves as a thank you for doing literally anything.
That's right. That, I think, could be a sign to Democrats in other places and elsewhere in this state that just trying literally any idea, a thing, I call them all the time to tell them this. I don't know why no one's listening to me, but but I mean, just trying an idea could be your ticket to success in this kind of an environment. Yeah. Democratic voters are so desperate for literally any idea to be tried that even a bad idea we're willing to go along with.
Yeah.
A mediocre idea we're willing to go along with. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Just trying anything is fun.
Yeah, and I really do think that is the takeaway here, because because when the rumblings of this first started, people were not so sure that this was a slam dunk.
No.
Right? Like
whoever knows when a California prop is, too. It's like some of the ones that become competitive are so weird.
The No campaign was very well funded, and you had some, prominent California people. Our redistricting commission was a Schwarzenegger thing that he got passed.
It's the one thing I give to Schwarzenegger is I thought it was a great idea, and he passed independent redistricting.
And he still has credibility here, and he was out sort of like very vocally being against this. And there were sort of like some initial like good government groups that would like tend toward Democratic side, maybe sort of like feeling like this wasn't the way to go, to your point about like everybody likes having an independent redistricting commission. But like the No campaign stopped spending weeks ago. This is cooked. It's going to pass. It's going to pass. It's not going to be close.
No. People want an idea. We're looking for ideas. We're just trying anything.
Yep.
And I have to say that takeaway, I am pleased to discover that is the takeaway of this, because I, too, am willing to support almost any iteration of an idea if it's just trying something at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I had to remember that my vote on this was not really about what it was. And that's so often the case with a prop anyway. I mean, we often advise voting no on props that are end runs around the legislature, even if it's an idea we support. We vote no on all dialysis props because we're just like, fuck them for putting dialysis back on the ballot. Like, we have our own prop methodology.
Yeah.
But this is a time that I was like, this is really about the vibe of the Yes campaign more so than anything else, because nothing effective has happened at all, regardless of what we do. Everything is a mess. So, like, having an idea, supporting not even good ideas, supporting ideas is really my only political position at this point. I'm pro-idea.
Yeah.
And if that's all that we have, that's all we can do,
Yeah.
So, vote yes on 50. Or, if you've already voted yes on 50, good work. If you haven't voted, get your life together. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Couldn't be easier. It actually couldn't be easier. It was the easiest ballot I've ever had in the state of California ever in my life.
Yeah.
It was the first time that a ballot only had one thing on it, but I knew what the thing was. Because it used to be we had all those elections where it'd be like the 19th of June, and you'd vote on one school board person, and you'd be like, who is this person? And then there'd be no way to find out. You will have gotten 100 items of mail about it, none of them that clarify anything about who the person is. And then you're supposed to just know what to do. This was the first time that I've gotten a ballot that simple and been like, I already know the answer.
Yeah,
I don't have to. I got it. I don't have to read into this. I don't have to study. I don't have to. I have only gotten one email so far from someone requesting my ballot guide.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like,
I guess we could have written one.
I mean, I was just like, vote yes on 50. There's nothing else on the ballot. I've had a few people ask me in person, and I've been like, yeah, we're not doing one because
people really love our ballot guides.
People love our ballot guides. And you should too. If you're a listener and you need a ballot guide for the next real election, great. Catch up on the reading you've been missing all this time.
There's also a race for mayor of Minneapolis.
Right.
Which has been getting some attention because one of the candidates there is also a DSA candidate who I believe is in their city council, Omar Fata. And people have called him the Midwest Mamdani. That election, I think, is sort of in flux. I don't know if we know who's going to win that. There's a bunch of progressive candidates that are running sort of like as a slate because that is a ranked choice situation as well. But that's that specific race became sort of, it was like back in August, I think, on everyone's radar because the DFL of Minnesota at their convention endorsed this DSA candidate and then revoked it because they claimed that there was like some sort of irregularities like in the way that the convention votes were taken.
That's right. Is Minnesota the state that has like the Democratic Farmer Labor
But that's the
party.
only...
That's
just
Democratic
what they
Party.
call
Yeah,
the
no,
Democratic... It's not like the Working Families Party where they're on a separate line.
No, but their Democratic Party has farmers in it.
It's DFL.
Yeah. That's just a funny thing to be doing.
It is.
In any case, is that election day election is ranked choice, right?
Election day election is ranked choice. Yeah.
Well, that's always exciting.
Yeah.
Not even a ranked choice primary.
I think. Did I make that up?
I don't know. That's something for...
You'll tell us
tomorrow. You'll tell us tomorrow, exactly.
Check the results. When you listen to this.
The other big news that is election relevant but not timely election related, is it sounds like Nancy Pelosi is going to retire finally.
Yeah.
Who knew she had it in her?
I know.
I mean, I worry she's been diagnosed with a fatal illness.
I know.
Because why else would she agree to do this?
Yeah.
We had a suspicion because Scott Wiener had already jumped into the race, and he's a state, I think he's a state senator, right?
Yes, I believe so.
He's not a guy who was going to jump into a race that another Democrat had already locked up.
Well, and I think that they're both from the Bay Area, and he's a big player in state politics. Yeah. Everyone has known that he's going to run for something. Honestly, I'm sort of surprised that he's maybe not in a bigger race than just her.
What's a bigger race than the de facto leader of the Democratic Party?
But it's still, but I mean, he doesn't get to, right, I mean, it's still just a random house seat, ultimately, But, like, when I saw that he was jumping in, there was a negative chance that he would run a campaign against Nancy Pelosi.
Too true.
So she has just been getting asked about it, and she just keeps claiming she wants to get through this special election, which is like, we don't need her for.
No, don't worry about us.
But, I guess that is a California election, so she probably is, like, technically working on something in relation to it.
I can't believe that she just put Hakeem in charge of everything and bounced while he's doing such a bad job.
What are we gonna do, guys?
Like, there's gonna be, listen, you know how we feel about her. We have a lot of mixed feelings about Nancy Pelosi, but she's really the only person in the entire Democratic Party that can deliver a vote. And currently, we have shenanigans going on in House leadership. Every person in House leadership is shenanigans. There's not one serious person among them. And, like, what are they going to do when their parents are gone?
I don't know.
I mean, I hope that what they do is go so rogue that Hakeem also has to leave. But
I know.
But I don't know,
Well, what may happen is that he loses an election.
We can only hope.
We can only hope.
So if there's one person I would love to see lose an election in New York City right now, I just feel like the Democrats have been doing this left, right, and center, but, like, what a time to bounce. Like, and I get it. I have been asking her to retire for more than a decade.
So long.
So it's like, happy to have you experience at least 1 month of retirement before your fatal illness takes you, or whatever it is that has caused you to agree to this. But like, I feel frustrated that so many senior Democrats have put us into this position only to die or retire now. They're just like, okay, well, everything's lost. So that was all thanks to my actions, but let me just get on out of here. Like, I feel I'm mad at them for staying and I'm mad at them for leaving. I have no positive feelings about any of it.
Right.
But I guess you can see why everyone's trying to leave, because we're still in a shutdown, and who knows if the government will ever reopen. Now, of course, they're the only people being paid.
Right, and they're on permanent vacation, at least in the House anyway. The Senate keeps voting on a clean CR that doesn't pass. They've done it like 15 times or something like that.
Right, the Senate has to work.
House
the House has been on recess for a month now. They're just frolicking.
And that's all just because they don't want to seat, what's her name, who won that
they don't want to seat Gallego's daughter.
Right, that's right.
Or not Gallego's daughter, Grijalva's daughter. The House is MIA specifically so that they don't have to vote on the Epstein Files thing.
That's right.
And so that they don't have to swear in Grijalva's daughter. Yeah. And the House members are themselves being paid, but their staff stopped getting paid last Friday.
Right.
So House staff is no longer being paid.
Right.
Neither is anyone. The TSA's good luck to all of us flying.
Oh,
We're all about to fly.
I'm supposed to be flying this weekend.
We'll see.
Or this week, yeah.
How things go.
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah. No, so we'll see how everything goes. Yeah. Everybody who on the federal payroll missed their first paycheck on Friday. SNAP benefits are in limbo. They were supposed to stop today, but then a judge said that the Trump administration had to pay them out of a contingency fund. And this is actually, I think, a good time to discuss what we initially told you about the shutdown.
Right. And on our last podcast a couple weeks ago.
Which is the Trump administration has been refusing to actually, spend funds that have already been appropriated for certain things. And this is a good example of that, because there is a contingency fund for SNAP so that people don't have to starve to death because the government can't work their shit out.
Right.
And the Trump administration was basically saying, no, we're not going to spend it. We're not going to actually appropriate those funds for the thing that they have been appropriated
for. They're going to appropriate part of them?
Right. That today they were like, maybe we'll pay some of it. Right. And it's like, people can just half starve? Like, what is the point of this?
Yeah. The amount of people out on the internet who are gleefully celebrating people not being able to get food is as really been troubling. And I understand that Twitter is not life.
Yes.
But, like, even that there was one person that
right,
was like...
There's one person on the internet.
Because the thing is, like, we can have a conversation about, like, who should be on Snap and how long they can be on Snap and whether they have to be drug tested to be on Snap. I don't agree with literally any of those things. But those are all sort of, like, they're policy things. Like, people are always talking about that. It's an ongoing conversation, whatever. But, like... If you, on the day that everyone's Snap is at 0, are out in the world being glad that, like, children and disabled people and whoever else is on Snap are not going to be able to buy themselves food, there's a hottest place in hell for you. Like,
here's what I think.
That's dark.
I think that you're on Twitter where you shouldn't be anymore. Because I have not seen one...
Oh, I think even Grant was like, why is my entire Twitter profile just everybody talking about how, like, people should starve?
Get off of Twitter, both of you. Because that is not what's going on in the rest of the internet and in the rest of the media, honestly. Like, media has been really concerned about this issue. People Magazine's been reporting on this issue.
I understand that. So I just think it's...
of course...
I'm following all of the,
you're following...
the real news, if you will.
You're following the internet news. But I think... Much like, I think to me, this goes along with the East Wing conversation where, you know, Trump is like tearing down half the East Wing and in a very kind of let them eat cake moment where he's building a grand ballroom for himself while, you know, people are losing their snap. Or an underground bunker. It's hard to know. A lot of conspiracy theories now floating around. Or some
sort of like AI, or wasn't he going to build some AI operation under there too or something like that?
It's hard to know. Well, there's a lot of tech money going into it because it's all privately financed. So it's like literally rich people celebrating themselves while the rest of us starve in a very direct way.
Yeah.
But I think that the imagery of that is actually has been the most damaging to his administration of anything he's done thus far, including the openly cruel stuff. And I think the Snap thing is similar, where as much as you might sit around sort of like in your worst internet self and be like, fuck those people who aren't working hard enough to pay their whatever.
Right.
You also like know in your heart of hearts that that's a cruel policy because children are going to starve. And the sort of broad swath of voters who are going to be impacted by this are going to include a lot of his own constituents or constituency. And so I think similarly, like the imagery of him sort of lording over the idea that he sort of like has the power to pay or not pay for people's food. And then also in the middle of all of that, accepting private donations from billionaires to build himself a ballroom is all at some point going to come to a head. I don't know what that. I'm not going to promise you that it comes to a head in a way where you're like, that came to a head and here we are. I think though that like these are all kind of like bad images for a wannabe fascist regime that is looking to have authority over people in a way that they don't have to kind of watch their backs the whole time. And I just don't think that this doesn't touch his people enough. And
for sure.
You know, are they going to try to fuck with the elections? Yes. I'm not talking about like how this affects the democratic system. I'm not talking about any of that. I just mean like on some level, every government requires the consent of the governed in some way in order to keep operating.
Well, and the healthcare thing is about to blow up. The
healthcare thing is about to blow up.
People are now getting there. I've been seeing people posting.
Yeah, no, I got mine.
Health insurance is going to be.
I think that these are all sort of like harbingers of a problematic time for them that they are not watching their backs on, really.
Yeah.
But I think the Snap thing. First of all, no one actually wants to hear a bunch of people say that kind of stuff about Snap. Like, no one wants to hear a bunch of idiots on Twitter.
Sure.
It makes the crisis seem bigger than it even is, because I don't even think that's a widely held position. It might be a widely held position in abstract on Snap. It's not a widely held position that we should take Snap from people, especially as we're not paying federal employees and, you know, there's all these other things. But I mean, like, I think that the kind of like a bunch of like bots and idiots on Twitter like saying these things only compounds the problem for the people who support getting rid of these benefits.
Yeah.
It's like actually making it really like difficult for them to like maintain some sort of legitimacy in the midst of all of this.
Sure.
And I don't know what that actually means, because I'm not promising that the democratic system saves us from this. Like I'm aware that that's not what happens right now.
Yeah.
But I think a little bit of tide is shifting in terms of how much the public is willing to tolerate of this. And I think that's going to have impacts. I think that the Snap thing is a bad choice on their part. I think the ballroom thing is a bad choice on their part. I don't think that doing that when everyone's about to lose their health care is smart politics.
Right.
And I think that they kind of are invincible in a way that I don't think you are once healthcare is involved.
No, I don't think so either. And also, like, the polling on that shows Democrats winning the shutdown. And, that's, you know what? It's always, every time we go into one of these shutdowns, these Republicans think,
we'll just blame the Democrats.
We've really got one this time.
Yeah.
This is a winning shutdown for us.
That's right.
We're going to do the messaging right. We're going to tell everybody what's really going on and how evil the Democrats are. And through all of their best efforts.
Never.
It has never. They have been blamed for every single shutdown since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And
it never works out electorally for them.
Whether they're in power, they get blamed.
Right.
If they're not in power, they get blamed. That's probably some of the media's to do. But it's just like, it's so funny
but
that
it's also true. They're the ones who don't care about government.
Don't care about government.
The reason Democrats win the shutdown is because everybody knows that they care about federal bureaucracy, essentially.
Right. But you know that they probably, like, saw those polls about the shutdown and they were like, God, I really thought we had it this time.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how they could have thought they had it when they control all three chambers.
I know.
But, I mean, what this is bringing up is a conversation about the filibuster again. That is an interesting conversation, I would say, because I was just reading a newsletter about this that I get that is that I feel like I've mentioned him before. Gabe Fleischer.
Oh yeah.
Who was like a teenager who was writing a newsletter that everyone in DC was reading, and he is now a college student who's writing a newsletter that everyone in DC reads, or maybe he's even out of college by now. But he was writing about the future of the filibuster, and he was saying, like, interestingly, in every other chamber, you know, you hear what you hear about the filibuster. I'm sure that a lot of Republican congressmen or congresswomen, congresspeople are interested in getting rid of the filibuster. Trump has recently come out claiming that they have to get rid of it.
Marge, very anti-filibuster right now.
Exactly.
Taylor Green, that's what I'm talking about, sorry.
Of course.
Yeah.
The Senate GOP is not really in favor of it, though. The Senate GOP basically derives all of their power right now from keeping the filibuster because that's the only protection they have from Trump. And so it's actually really hard to find a GOP senator who wants to overturn the filibuster. They want carve-outs for everything they want. And they're making carve-outs for everything they want. They're not some kind of moral bastion of whatever.
Right. No, the filibuster will ultimately end when its final carve-out has been carved out, essentially.
But what Gabe Fleischer was saying is, like, you're actually more likely to see an end to the filibuster, the policy, under a Democratic trifecta than anything else. Because and they're weak, so we know that we won't actually see it.
I was just about to say, no, you wouldn't. But maybe more likely, yes.
Well, and I mean, you have people in the Democratic Party who actually campaigned on getting rid of the filibuster. I mean, Ruben Gallego.
There would be a conversation
took
about
cinema seat saying, "I'm going to get rid of the filibuster because she was a fucking problem."
Yeah.
So I think you're more likely to find an actual constituency that would actively support getting rid of the filibuster
and
right now.
The voters would.
Of course.
Right.
But right now, in the, Democratic side of the Senate, you're more likely to find that support even though they don't have any power.
Yeah.
Right now, if you are a Republican senator, the sort of last bastion of a little bit of, like, bureaucratic authority that you're, hanging on to, there is no benefit to getting rid of the filibuster.
No.
Then you just actually have to do what Trump wants all the time.
All the time.
And that is how that is the end of your little power, your little monarchy.
Yeah.
Not monarchy. It's authority. I don't know.
There you go.
I'm not getting to the right word. Yeah. Whatever. It's late at night. My point is, every little bit of power that you have derived from your position as a Republican senator right now is lost the moment you get rid of the filibuster.
Yeah.
And they are fools if they don't know that. They are fools, so they might not know that. Right. I'm not suggesting they'll hold firm on this.
Because
but
I've been seeing various headlines about, like, Thune is, like, himself doesn't want to do it, and, like, he's obviously the leader of the Senate, like, and, he could be convinced otherwise. But I don't, to your point, nobody there is trying to convince him otherwise.
No, I don't think it's to their benefit at all, politically speaking. Yeah. I think that...
And Trump may know this anyway. Yeah. I mean, like, I think it probably just works for his image to be like, get rid of the filibuster.
Of course.
Even if he doesn't mean it, although it's sort of dangerous for him to put it out there because then, everybody
things
reacts.
Are happening when he,
Right, exactly. But
I don't know if he's thinking through anything. I think he's just looking for ultimate authority, and that's what he would get if they got rid of the filibuster. But I just don't think it is to anyone's benefit who is currently in government and not Donald Trump to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And they are doing stuff that's not to their benefit all the time. So I'm not going to tell you that they won't make a dumb choice here.
Yeah.
But that Gabe Fleischer was like, this is a policy that Democrats are more likely to enact than Republicans. Republicans are more likely to just carve out everything until there's no filibuster left.
Yeah, right. And I could see them doing that in this instance.
Of course.
Like, to be able to pass CRs to not shut the government down.
They're being hamstrung by their own rules.
Well, especially when they're...
And have been for decades.
Right. Yeah.
The filibuster is a made-up problem.
Yeah.
They made it up.
Right.
And so now it's like, this is not a real thing, the filibuster. They came up with it as a way of stopping the Obama agenda, basically. They started using it differently. It's like none of this is... Yeah. This is a recent problem and it's fake. Yeah. And I don't know why they're all so committed to it, but I mean, I guess keep on keeping on right now. Meanwhile, okay, a few quick items.
Yeah.
One, Karine Jean-Pierre wrote a book.
Whoo! Why though?
And why though is... And...
Just really quickly.
Yeah.
You probably know what it's about. The premise of this book.
Well, first.
Guys. It's her leaving the Democratic Party because the Democrats were mean to Joe Biden.
It makes you want to die immediately. It's the most infuriating premise a book has ever had or could have or that anyone has ever conceived of in human history. And it's also the most illogical.
So dumb.
And the thing is, almost everybody knows that because the reviews are savage.
So good. Read any review.
Any single review.
For this book. I think the Washington Post one was the sort of famous.
You think to yourself, the Washington Post one, oh, that's a Bezos hit job. No, it's not.
Came for her throat.
Came for her throat from the left.
Yeah. And then, by the way, she was doing a good enough job herself making herself sound like a total fool and this book sound ridiculous because there was that New Yorker interview where it was like, ma'am, how are you the press secretary?
Yeah. It is highly embarrassing.
Jesus.
It's also been highly entertaining.
Mm. Yeah.
And I recommend taking a gander at it.
Yeah.
When you get the chance.
Well, not the actual book.
No, don't read the book. Oh, wait. I mean the reviews. Hold on. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I absolutely don't take a gander at the book.
Yeah. But the reviews are bad enough that, like, I don't know, maybe I'm, like, notable in my love of bad reviews. But, like, when a review is so savage, it's, like, it's perfect.
Yes. No, it's one of the great book reviews in American history. And... that is a lot for me to say about the Washington Post right now.
I know.
At present.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't be reading it at all.
We shouldn't be reading it all. There was the World Series.
Oh, the World Series. Guys, has baseball ever been this exciting before?
No.
No.
The answer is no, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I heard them saying that was like one of the most exciting baseball games in World Series history, and I was like, oh, okay, because it felt exciting and I'm a notable baseball hater.
Right, you've never thought baseball was exciting a day in your life. And what I like about baseball is I only enjoy baseball if you're at a baseball game, and that is because you have like 3 hours to eat Dippin' Dots and chit chat. Yeah. That's my favorite kind of sport. Other sports you have to pay attention.
It's not supposed to be riveting.
No, it's certainly not.
But yet.
It was riveting. Here's what I'll say though. It was riveting. Those games were too long. Too many of those games were too long.
The one that was too long was too long.
2 of them were too long. The final game was also too long.
Yeah, but only by an inning though, right? Didn't that go 10 innings?
I think it went...
They basically played 2 games in one. Because they played 18 innings.
I started watching that game,
a doubleheader, basically.
The 18-inning game,
yeah.
Then went to a movie in the middle of it, got out of the movie. They were still only in the 15th inning. They had 3 more innings to go before they were going to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's too long.
That was too long.
People say that was exciting too. I didn't watch that.
It was exciting in the sense that for a while you were like, wow,
as baseball goes.
Right. Yeah. Oh, as baseball goes.
You have to think about that. You have to have a baseline, I guess. Because I'm sure, like, as golf goes, there's exciting golf.
That's right. I don't think that exciting golf could rivet the nation.
Right. Like
at its most exciting, baseball can actually be fun to watch.
Right.
Golf can't be even at its most exciting. There's not an amount of exciting golf could be where I would suddenly be like, I'd watch that.
Yeah. But did you see that tweet that Trump didn't want either team to win?
I know.
Of course.
So some funny things happened. First of all, it very fortuitously, it was a Canadian team, the one Canadian team that made the Blue Jays that made it into the World Series. Yeah. And so suddenly it was a World Series between California and Canada.
Right.
Trump's 2 favorite places.
I know. Well, it's funny. I was long before that tweet of his, like when it became clear that those were the teams that were going to be in there, I was talking to a friend of mine who like doesn't live in Los Angeles, and they were like, should we be cheering for Canada just so Trump gets really mad? And I was like, what the hell do you think is going to happen if Los Angeles wins the World Series? You think he's going to be real happy about that? It was a win-win because America. He was going to be mad regardless of who won that World Series.
That's right.
Which was why it was a win-win. I mean, obviously.
No, it's why suddenly I was invested in baseball.
Right.
I was rooting for whatever was going to wreak the most chaos politically, and the games sort of did, even in the absence of there being a team that he could root for, because. Which Ford is it that's currently in power in Toronto? You know how the Fords are always...
I don't know.
Anyway, whoever it is ran an ad using Ronald Reagan's ghost, basically, to...
His AI.
Yeah. Right, according to Trump. It's an archived piece of footage that exists, but not according to Trump. To talk... It was a speech that Reagan gave about how bad tariffs were, and ran an ad twice during the first couple games of the World Series, including the Saturday game, I think, that was an anti-tariff ad featuring Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump was already livid about this turn of events and was not happier to find that he was being taunted by Reagan from beyond the grave via Canada in the process of all of this. So I was excited just to have an opportunity to watch a baseball game, one of America's more conservative sports, at least
that's the other
middle
thing.
of the country style.
Most of the players on those teams
couldn't be Trumpier.
Are all voted for him. So like it's whoever you invite to the White House, well, you wouldn't invite the Blue Jays to the White House. Or maybe you would. What do I know about who goes to the White House or not? But like, you're just inviting your constituents to the White House.
That's right. And yet, because they represent a city that you feel has fallen to mayhem, and crime and destruction, he was unable to even root for his own constituents to win the World Series. That sounds like him.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about his constituents. I do feel like the Dodgers winning wasn't the better story.
Yeah, I know.
I was looking for a story.
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes you're just like, can chaos win at least once? Like, we're just dealing with disappointing news all the time. Can't we have chaos at least once?
Sure.
That's what I felt the Blue Jays could have offered to the situation.
Yeah.
They did... a friend of mine sent some footage of Canadians being interviewed about the Blue Jays loss, like Blue Jays fans. And while LA was literally rioting, like buses are being tagged, fireworks are going off everywhere. Mm-hmm. Canadians were asked, how they feel about losing. And they were like, well, we played a great game, and all we can do is try, and we just hope that next year, they couldn't have been more polite. That was the most Canadian thing I've ever seen in my life. Meanwhile, Angelinos, to celebrate, are destroying the entire city.
Yeah, man.
That's just what we do here.
This shit's exciting.
That's right. That's sounded like a war zone here on the night of Game 7. But, and I was like sitting at home on Saturday night, and I was like, oh, the Dodgers won. And how do I know? Because fireworks have suddenly started going off in every direction.
Right.
That's how I know. In any case, in final and concerning news, we've caught wind of one slightly troubling idea that isn't one of the ideas we're supporting. We said previously we're into all ideas, and that's true for the most part.
I'm going to offer a counterpoint to that after you tell us what it is. I mean, I agree with you, but I'm going to play devil's advocate.
I'd love to hear it. Kamala Harris is floating running for president again.
Yeah.
And listen, you guys, not every idea is the one just because it's an idea.
Right, that's not.
That's not the idea.
No.
That's not an idea.
I'm wondering if she just should.
Why?
Because then maybe we could reprogram ourselves to remember how much we never liked her to begin with. Because we didn't, by the way.
Well, she didn't catch on the first time.
A famously bad campaigner, a famously bad candidate.
I said she can only hold it together for a month. She has 1 month of great campaigning in her every time. For 1 month, she's a great candidate. Month 2, it all comes apart.
It all comes apart.
God forbid she gets to a month 3. That's a fucking mess.
Well, she never has.
She never has, so never have to worry about it.
Yeah, but no. But don't.
Don't.
Because also Democratic voters are stupid.
Yeah.
So they,
Literally run AOC. Or run somebody that is able to offer a strong counterpoint to Trump. I get that instinct. And that was sort of the one thing I felt she could kind of offer to the last election.
Yeah.
But run somebody who can run on something. Like, run somebody... Well, first of all, don't let yourself get put in a situation where an old white man who's about to die, like, basically causes the entire thing to fall on your shoulders after, like, sets you up to fail.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that was what happened to her as well. But part of the reason she was set up to fail was because she can't run a fucking campaign, and she suddenly got thrust into the limelight at a time that, you know, she wasn't even being given the proper support to win. Aside from $1 billion, it turns out you need more than money to win an election. You need votes.
Yep.
Like, that was a setup to fail.
Yeah.
Don't set the next candidate up to fail that way. And one way that we could set someone up to fail is to run somebody who can't fucking run.
I know.
Effective campaigns.
Right. And part of why she can't run a good campaign, sort of just to, you know, bring this back to our original
you gotta have
thing
ideas.
that we were talking about. You gotta have ideas. And if Kamala Harris is famous for one thing, it's being idealist.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Truly.
her inability to have an idea, I would contend, is the single reason that she lost this last election.
Yeah.
Because she started going downhill as soon as people started being like,
what are your ideas?
What are your ideas? Do you have any? How are you different from Joe Biden?
Right.
The fact that she didn't have an answer to that isn't because it was a gotcha or because of it. It was literally because she'd not once thought about it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and this is what happened to her when she tried to run previously.
Oh, yeah. Remember, she had
her Medicare for All idea that wasn't an idea, it turned out.
Right, because she literally didn't. She had no interest in learning any of those things. She got asked whether her Medicare for All plan was going to get rid of private insurance companies. And remember, she answered.
She didn't know.
She answered about 17 different ways over the span of the next 48 hours.
And that sank her campaign. That was what sank her. She was leading that race for a little while. That sank her campaign.
Yeah. I mean, she just has no interest in ideas.
No. And, like, I get that, like, she was already up against a lot. Like, a woman of color running against Donald Trump. Like, terrible situation to be in the first place. And also terrible that that's a terrible situation. You get what I'm saying. But if you're going to run an uphill race like that, you gotta be coming from a place of ideas. There are a million other people that have ideas that I contend would have fared better in that race, literally on the power of just, like, campaigning on something.
Sure.
We're looking at it in the New York City mayor's race right now. That you do not have to think that all of Mamdani's ideas are good ideas, but it is notable that he has them.
Yep.
A lot of his support is coming from people who are like, I love that he has ideas, basically.
Yeah. And who know that maybe they won't all...
Right. It's people are not delusionally thinking that every single idea is going to work out as promised.
Yeah, because that's actually what Spanberger said about that race.
Of course, that's what those moderate Democrats always say
well,
about the left.
Well, I wouldn't be in support of it because I wouldn't be able to pass it.
Right. And it's like, if you want to let the pre-existing political environment determine what can and can't happen, then why do we need you there?
Yeah.
If you only want to pass ideas that can already pass, what are you doing?
Right.
Why do we need you in office? I mean, it's like telling your constituents you won't support. This is an issue my parents came up against when they were helping some candidates run in upstate New York for a statewide office. And one of them said she wouldn't support Medicare for All because she didn't think it would pass. And my mom was like, "Then why do we need you in here? Like, what are you offering if you can't help make a thing that would benefit your constituents pass? If everything that you are going to suggest can already pass, why do we need you? We don't.
We don't.
You gotta have ideas. Ideas are all there. It's all we have, you guys. Let the state that is voting overwhelmingly for Prop 50 tell you that.
Yeah.
In any case, happy election eve.
Yeah.
I hope that you have a fruitful election day filled with good news. I won't know when it's posted, whether you will or not, but we hope for all of us. Good tidings on your shutdown eve as well. And, we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
Bye.